Okay, let's see. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining this first live stream on my YouTube channel. For those who are new to my channel, my name is Anais, and this is a channel where I create videos on Kubernetes and a challenge called 100 Days of Kubernetes. Now, if you want to participate in this live stream, ask questions, say hi or anything else, then you have to be subscribed. And then you can type in the chat. So I will be keeping an eye on the chat. I have some stuff prepared, but this is mainly just a live stream to say hi because it's my first live stream and try it out, and answer some questions because I got a lot of questions throughout the past, let's say, weeks or months since I started my 100 Days of Kubernetes challenge. So I thought instead of answering them in certain communities or just through DMs and replying with resources and so on there, I just make a live stream and answer questions here. So that's kind of the goal. So again, if you want to participate in this live stream, and we'll see how many people join or if people have questions, I'm probably going to do this on a regular basis so people can just jump in and ask questions related to Kubernetes or 100 Days of Kubernetes or DevOps or career-related topics, I guess. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see if there's anything particular, any particular content you would like to see. You can also share that, and then I can either create a video or collaborate maybe with some other people in the space on that. That might also be fun. So again, if you want to comment or just get involved in the chat, have questions or so on, you have to be subscribed first. So make sure to subscribe if you want to participate in the stream. Now, let me share my screen, and we probably gonna use mainly like just this screen here, and I'm gonna draw a lot because I really enjoy making things visually while I'm speaking about that. So we'll see if people join. If not, then it's just like, I guess, me talking for some time about how to get started with 100 Days of Kubernetes, how I got started with 100 Days of Kubernetes, and how you can get started. So maybe there are some questions along the way. Maybe say hi in the chat if you're watching. Say hi, where you're joining from. That would be cool to see as well. Other than that, I'm just gonna basically walk through how I got started in the space and some of the resources I used and where you can find different resources that I'm working on. So I guess let's start from the very beginning when I got started in the DevOps space, because I actually don't talk about that much. So when I got started, I didn't have any of this. I had like a medium-sized following, I guess, on Twitter, but it was mainly on blockchain focused because I was working for a long time in the blockchain space. So I was focused on the blockchain industry, my following Twitter. I didn't have a YouTube channel. I didn't have any public content really. I had a Medium with some blog posts, but not a lot. So when I got started about 12 months ago, nearly 11 months ago, let's say, in DevOps, I started building all of the content and also my knowledge along the way, basically, right? So it doesn't come from one day to the other, right? It's all a learning journey of if you're starting with Kubernetes, if you're starting with DevOps, don't expect to have these things right away. You will see a lot across channels. You will see a lot of people who have lots and lots of content and platforms available to their disposal, right? And that obviously doesn't come from one day to the other. It's something that people might or might not want over time and build up over time as they progress throughout the space. So let's say we want to get started with DevOps, or just, I guess with Kubernetes. Could be DevOps, it could be Kubernetes. I hope people can see this. It always looks so small on YouTube. So there are obviously different paths of what you could do, right? Maybe you can't comment in the chat. Can somebody just comment anything in the chat so I can see that the chat works? Because it's really the first time that I'm setting things up, right? So it would be really nice if you can just say hi and I don't know where you're joining from or something. So I know that this thing actually works, because usually I used OBS before, and other people whom I streamed with would drive this and set everything up. So I'm not sure if it works. So if somebody wants to comment in the chat, so just to make sure that works. Thank you, Florian. Thank you for joining. Hi. Awesome. That makes me really happy to see. Okay, so Uh, Thank you. Now I know it's working at least. So this is really focused on how I got started in the DevOps space, or based on my experience, right? Florence's experience and everybody else's experience. I'm picking on you now because you come in the chat. Is obviously going to be different, right? And you probably take completely different approaches, and that's amazing. You should totally do that. So when you get started, you have several different ways, right? You can do either courses, and that also includes then exams, and you can prepare towards those. And that's usually in a really structured format, right? So you will have structure. I will try to speak and type at the same time. And they are usually from people who have renowned experience, let's say. I don't know how to type renowned right now. So I'm just going to write amazing people. Non-native speaker here. Hello, Matteo. Thank you for joining us. Awesome. So amazing people refers to people who know their stuff, okay? I'm not going to swear here, but they know their stuff. And that's usually what you get when you have courses, right? At least from my experience. Hi, Rishabh. Thank you for joining. That's really amazing. Great to see you here. So, and then you have the other option of you just try and error, I guess. And that's kind of the path that I took here. I just tried and error. I don't have any exams yet, okay? I don't have any cloud exam. I don't have any Kubernetes-related exam yet. First of all, I'm terrified of exams. And second of all, I just didn't, I'm working on it, right? But it didn't happen. So that's basically the try and error path. It's a path that I took. Welcome, Leonardo. Thank you for joining. I hope Leonardo. So, sorry for mispronouncing it. Awesome. Welcome, Kuna. Thank you for joining. So I'm just talking about the different ways that I think people get started in the space. If you just joined, welcome. Thank you. Thank you for joining from Twitter. Awesome. And I think, yeah, there are many the structured exams, courses kind of thing, and then there's a try and error one. And then obviously within each of those, you will have, for example, you will have books, and you will have blog posts, and all the good stuff that people create when they know about something, I guess. And they're obviously like with courses and exams, you will be provided with the content, and you follow the content, right? And it requires a lot of dedication to complete the course within the specific time frame, and then to take the exam as well. That's quite, I think it's really impressive when people take a lot of exams. I know that Rishabh, who's here in the chat, he's creating lots of, he's doing lots of exams, and he's talking about it, right? And many other people as well. Well, I took this approach, the trial and error one, and I kind of got thrown into the space. So I was a developer advocate in the blockchain space. Let me share so you can see me bigger if you want to. You can also look up. Anyway, welcome. Thank you for joining. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but thank you so much. I see it in the chat. Yeah, so I took the try and error exam. I was path. I was working as developer advocate / community manager for some time in the blockchain space. So working with blockchain projects, and I didn't have to know anything related to DevOps, but all I had to know was how to spin up demo environments, how to get some shiny React and TypeScript examples work, and showcase how our platform worked. And that was it. That was done. So I got approached by a nice company in the space, in the DevOps space, and I was like, hey, let's join a new industry, let's say, and see what I can do there and how I can get involved with a different community and so on, right? So at the beginning, I started a newsletter because it was like, wow, I'm reading so much different content. There must be a way to share that content with people, right? And I basically, whenever I was looking for something, that was my process. I'm sharing here literally my process. I wonder what your process is. Maybe at bullet points if somebody wants to share. But when I'm reading something new, I literally just go to, let's say, I want to learn about Kubernetes services. Oh God, now you see my search history. Kubernetes, and then Kubernetes services. Maybe I should use an incognito window. Anyway, so I would just literally go through it, and I would just open all of these, right? That's what I do. So I just open all of these. And what's the problem blockchain is trying to solve? I can answer that question in a bit, or like address that comment in a bit. But I would, like, when I learn about something new, I just Google it, and I open all of this different and anything I can find. And then what I do next is I try to read it. And I'm saying I try to read it because a lot of times I don't understand what's written here, right? I don't understand the documentation, or I don't understand the specific example, what people are talking about, right? I don't necessarily understand what somebody's blog post is about, or I don't know what that is, or I don't find the source credible, and then I close probably at least 2/3 of the resources that I'm looking at, right? So I would just go through all of that and just try to pocket different resources and see what makes sense to me, right? And also, yeah, let's put that actually down here. So this is kind of the process that I'm taking. Oops. I think you can hear a dog barking. I have the window open. It's super warm here, so excuse the noise. So what I do is I look for something, that's something, and then look for anything I can find on it, and then exclude basically what I'm looking at. That's kind of the process I'm taking whenever I'm learning anything new. So I would look at different blog posts, different tutorials, also on YouTube. I would just, for example, if I'm looking for what is a good example? If I'm looking for Kubernetes, deployments, or if I look for Ingress, let's say I want to learn about Ingress. What is an Ingress? I would just literally I would just look on YouTube. On also company blog posts are a really good resource. I will just look for those specific keywords and then try to filter out from there. And I think that's quite handy to do because you will find a different path, let's say this is your learning journey here. And you're just trying to, get started with something, right? At different paths here, you might be looking at something at this time of your learning journey, and you're completely confused. What is that actually, right? And then when you look at the same thing later on, it might give you this aha moment of like, oh, that's what it means. So there are things I looked at like 5 months ago that I didn't understand at all. And then I look at it like a week ago and it makes click in like an hour and I understand what's going on. So don't be intimidated if you come across resources that you don't understand. There are lots of resources that it's usually that when you look at something new, most of the resources you will not understand what they mean. I don't know if you have a similar experience. That's my experience, right? That resources really have to be tailored to where you're at in your level of understanding on a specific topic. And then once you find those resources, then it will be much easier to get started on a topic. So don't be discouraged if you find something that doesn't make much sense, right? Feel free to post questions or comments in the chat. There's a question, what problems blockchain is trying to solve? That's I guess a long discussion. What problems blockchain is trying to solve? There are different problems that are really interesting, but they are heavily within the research space. So that's mainly what I was interested in when I was in the blockchain space, and that's what encouraged me to move into DevOps, because I wanted to have the hands-on experience of enterprises actually using the stuff that I was working on and I was building. That's one main reasons why I changed into DevOps space. But there's lots of interesting content on blockchain and use cases. And if you're interested, there are some really nice companies that do interesting content on blockchain, but not on this channel right now. But nice question. Thank you for asking. So then basically, if you look at my newsletter, you can see, when you go back, you can see literally the content that I was reading about. If we go to the first ones, right? So I literally, anything that I found useful, I was just posting into let's look at this one. I would just add the different resources I was looking at. These are all blog posts that I found helpful in my own learning journey. And then I posted them into this newsletter to hope that other people find it useful as well. But so you don't have to share the content that you're reading or build upon it. So you don't have to create your own content. This is not really my own content, right? It's just sharing other people's content and highlighting what they do. And that was kind of, I guess, that's the other thing. Like if you start from try and error of learning about something new to just, I don't know, just read and try to find what interests you and what's useful and go from there, I guess. Hello, Francesco. Thank you for joining. I don't know how to pronounce your name and if I pronounce it correctly, but thank you for joining. That's really exciting. Yeah, so with try and error, you are highly reliant on yourself. And that's, I think, the scary part for a lot of people is, how should I summarize it? You have to find like kind of your own learning path, own path, let's say something like that. So if you try and error, you also with courses, but the thing is with courses, you can filter out different courses, right? And you can kind of compare them, the costs, the type of content that's covered, the people who cover those courses, right? And then you can take it from there. And if you get involved in the community, you can see who are renowned people within the space who know their stuff. So for example, Francesco, I don't know how to pronounce it, is creating amazing content on Docker, right? So I would go to him if I want to learn more about Docker, which I probably should. But that's something you kind of know further down, I would say. Yeah, amazing. I love seeing all you in the chat. That's really cool. Thank you for joining. We should maybe have like more of a group discussion next time. So yeah, message me if you want to be on my live streams. This is just for me to try to get the experience. Anyway, so with try and error, that's, I guess, what people find scary is you have to find all of these resources yourself, right? You have to go through the documentation yourself. There's nobody who's going to explain it to you. There's nobody whom you can reach, like in a teacher position, whom you can reach out to, who has kind of an interest of showing you how to do that, right? And that's where I guess community members come in. And where it's really helpful to reach out to community members and take that leap. So I guess in either way, it's really cool. Like if you are into that, if you have like just basically reach out to the community, because ultimately everybody has been there where they looked at something and they're like, what is this? What's going on? And then once you reach out to the community and you say like, hey, I have struggled with this, they can help you. For example, I did this live stream. Let me find it. No, I'm not going to go there. And then my channel, I guess. I'm a bit nervous doing this all live right now. So if you go here to videos, now to playlist, I'm not sure if I edited it. I can send it later. So I did, when I learned about Kubernetes services, that's why I like to pick this example. Yeah, this is a cool tool to draw. This is really amazing to draw on. So if you, like when I looked at Kubernetes services, I didn't understand much of it. Like I didn't understand how the port forwarding and so on worked. So I posted it on Twitter and I was like, hey, can somebody explain it to me? And I had a live stream with David, who has an also really amazing channel. I will post all of the resources in the community chat later. Anyway, so he jumped on a live stream and he explained me what Kubernetes services are and how they work. And that's one example how the community can really help you. And then another way is if you're working by trial and error, right? There's nobody who's checking what you're working on. And that sounds a bit like a school kind of style, right? But ultimately, when you do exams, right, people check what you're working on, and it's ultimately in their interest to know, like, to check your understanding. That's what those exams and certifications and so on are for, right? To give you the validation of you have understood the material. And that's a great way. Like that's obviously it's a way to standardize it and to showcase like you actually know what you're talking about. Versus with try and error, there's nobody who's checking it. So what you can do instead is you can work in public. And that's like, for example, what I'm doing right now here, right? I'm posting something publicly. And that's what you can also do when you start like a blog, like a Medium blog. Or I actually have like, I think I have a list of tools on my blog. Other? Is it other? No, I used to have a blog post. I should find it with like a lot of links on free tools like this one, where you can basically create stuff and share it publicly. So you can work in public by creating a repository on GitHub, for example, and post stuff there, like post your content there. So for instance, let's look at this. This is 100 days of Kubernetes. I don't know if you've come across this. I should probably share it in the chat. Let me just post this in the chat. people see it if they have not seen it. I don't know. Does this work? Okay, let's see if it works. This link. Okay, so this is 100 days of Kubernetes.io, and I got the idea for 100 days of Kubernetes because of Bishop, who is doing 100 days of cloud. So that's another community, 100 days of cloud. So I was like, hey, let's do the same thing for Kubernetes, basically. And at the beginning, I posted everything on my public Notion page. So if you look for Notion, oh, now you're going to see my private Notion. That's not what I want. So if you look for Notion, you can find, you can basically create all kinds of sites just through Notion, basically. You can create all of these different kinds of colors and content and stuff. So what I did, I basically created a page or like pages here, and you can click through that if you go to this link, but it's also in the other link I just shared in the chat. And I just basically put all of my notes there, right? And was like, hey, this is like everything I'm reading, and this is kind of how I'm starting to make sense out of it. And that's what the videos are ultimately based on. They're not magic. They're just me reading about stuff and putting the notes together and then talking about it to kind of manifest it. So those videos, I don't think they are good. I think it's just me trying to learn the stuff. And all these notes are actually here now on the site, but this site is actually a public GitHub repository. So you can actually contribute to the site because, like mentioned, my notes, they are not good, right? Thumbnails, great thumbnails of my videos. I'm using a tool for that. I'm really bad in art, anything related to art. But yeah, so this is the repository. And as you can see, some people already contributed with improvements because everything that's in here in source, you can see like all the different folders, let's say. Here you can see, let's get started. You can see networking. They are all here. Here's a networking folder that corresponds to it. And you can basically, even if you don't have REST installed, this is a book that runs with REST. If you don't have it installed, you can just go in here. These are just markdown files. And you can start editing and improve it and help me improve it and help the community to improve it, right? So if you do add to it, and I highly encourage you to do it because it's really cool to have for people who get started. Like once you know about Kubernetes, thousands of people will message you, not thousands, but maybe a lot of people will message you and ask you how to get started with Kubernetes. And if you contributed to this book, or like also before, you can just put your name here in the contributor list. The people who have already contributed have not done that. So let's go back to this one, and then we check out the other one. So if you do contribute, please add yourself to the list here, right? So people can see that you contributed to this book. So it's all open source, this book on GitHub. So even if I ever stop paying for this domain, you can still access it, right? It's all on GitHub. You can also fork it if you want to be insured, right? Canva user. I don't get that comment, Rishabh. Maybe you want to explain it to me. Oh, Canva, the tool. I'm not using Canva. I'm using something called PicMonkey because I was naive and thought that was a good tool because I saw another YouTuber using it. So if you're interested, I'm using PicMonkey, and I'm probably not going to use it for long, but that's what I'm using for my thumbnails. Anyway, so you can contribute to 100 days of Kubernetes right here. You can also add yourself here to the commentator. No, don't add yourself to the commentator list. Only if you're a commentator. So if you really want to get serious about it, then add yourself to the commentator list. But yeah, this is basically 100 days of Kubernetes. So I'm also going to post this in the chat. Posting. Yeah. I have templates for my thumbnails, and I'm just basically replacing my own image and then the title of it. Like that's usually what I do. I'm really lazy about it. I hope people appreciate how lazy I am. So so you can see this is basically what came out of it, right? This is like what I've so far, the notes and some contributions from the community that I've just put here into this public repository. But ultimately, it really started from this Notion page that nobody was ever looking at, I think. I think so. So it's just, these are all notes just that I took, right? I could have also put them just in my own Google Docs or Word document or somewhere where people can't really see it. But what you can do here is you can also fork this repository that Rishabh created, right? So you can just fork this, and you have for each day, you can just add your day here. And basically, if you're doing 100 days, I mean, you could also use a similar template, just to record your learning journey in any notes that you take. It doesn't have to be across 100 days, right? 100 days is a huge commitment. So by working in public, other people can ultimately see what you're working on, right? Like this allows others to contribute. And then, to cross-check you, or to provide you, not cross-check, but to provide you, that's negative, to provide you with more input, with more information on your own content, right? And that's super helpful because that will allow you to get mentoring and feedback from the community. And trust me, there are amazing people who really like to help you out and explain your concepts. Like there are lots of people who do it and who would help you if you just post like questions of like, hey, how do you do that? Or how does this work? And a lot of projects also have Slack communities that you can join and ask questions and get involved in. For instance, we have this community.100daysofkubernetes.io. And this link will basically lead you to the Discord community. So I'm just going to post it here. So if you go to community.100daysofkubernetes.io, you can find the Discord community where people just share content and ask questions related to Kubernetes and the cloud space. And yeah, so this is really no magic. When you see me do like videos and try to explain content to myself mainly, this is just me trying to understand it and to build it up over time, right? And I'm just trying to show you right now, like, that this is the path that I took, right? And you can take a completely different path, right? You can start a blog and or not do anything and publicly of that sorts, or contribute to open source projects. I want to say blockchain projects, open source projects, and contribute there and look at their first starter issues. Let's look maybe at Prometheus. Prometheus? No, we don't want to go there. We just want to look for Prometheus. And if you look for Prometheus, they have a Slack community somewhere, but I want to go to their GitHub. So this is how I would go about it. I would basically just, there are lots of different aspects to it. So I would, for instance, go to the docs if I want to contribute here, and then I would look at issues and I would check out starter issues. Let's look for starter issues. Starter, is that how you do it? Issue? Or they call it differently, maybe. Maybe that's not how they call it. Labels? How do they call it? Maybe they don't have it in here. Ooh, they don't have it in here. Question, wrong documentation. I would basically look through it and see if there's anything that I can relate to, that I understand and that I could maybe get involved in. Or you can help when people have issues that they start. You can try to help reproduce it and see if you get similar issues with their specifications and stuff. And that really helps maintainers as well. So there are different ways on how you could also contribute to CNCF projects if you're not interested in writing blog posts or similar, right? And then also the CNCF has amazing resources. I hope I don't show anything weird. Has also amazing resources for students. Where are those actually? But yeah, they have amazing starter content as well, and tutorials where you can get involved and start looking at those projects and at the space. But if you get started, once you get started with your own learning journey, just writing it down is really helpful for other people as well to then see, okay, this is how, I don't know, how Anastasia got started with her DevOps learning journey. Now I can do it in a similar way, or this is something I really like, right? For instance, when I got started coding and front-end development, there's somewhere on my GitHub repository, there are actually lots of repositories of me just trying out different things. And there is somewhere 100 days of code, I think. Here, 100 days of code. And this is based on somebody sharing their own learning journey in the front-end development space, and me just basically trying to copy it. So a lot of it is just, don't be afraid to copy-paste. Let's add that. Copy-paste. I think it's good to copy-paste. Copy-paste from others. Give them credit, but copy-paste. That's my advice. So, and then that's the point where I say, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. No. But yeah, I don't know if you have any questions on what I've done, in this sense, or any thoughts on this, on what I'm sharing here. I think a combination of try and error and following exams is really good, because the thing is, if you like if you do try and error, it's really nice for others to, well, see where you fail. See where you fail, because if I see, oh, this didn't work for you, then I might not try it the same way, right? But if you're not sharing what you failed in, how can I possibly know what I shouldn't be doing, right? So if people share, for example, their production incidents, right? Or like anything that they did on their environments that completely messed everything up. I shouldn't swear, I guess. Mess everything up, then you can avoid that. So this is really amazing, right? Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying this live stream. If you have any comments, maybe any question, anything I should talk about in this live stream, then please comment those. It's really helpful. Yeah, but see where people fail. And that's why I'm ultimately sharing this. Like, this is nowhere too perfect, right? Also, here we go. These tutorials, they are full of errors. Right now, I was working on an introduction to services. That's why I'm focusing on services so much right now. And I looked at my notes and I was like, what was I writing up here? Like, I'm sorry, but I really have to, or you can redo it, please, as well. Like, where are they? Kubernetes services, where are they? Good thing here's a service, here's a search. Kubernetes service? Here? No. Oh, no. Maybe I have it separately somewhere. Service mesh, Kubernetes service. Well, I'm here. Okay, we are here actually. I didn't see it. So, see, like this is, I was going through it and I was like, this is not how I would tell somebody about Kubernetes services now, right? I would completely change it. So if you come across it and you're like, actually, I would rewrite these parts, then please do rewrite this, right? That's why it's open source here. That's why it's open source in this repository, so you can add to it and share it and promote the content that you share, like that you put in here. If you put a page in here, please do promote it, like share it with all your followers and make them use it or something like that. Or just highlight, like just share it. It's really nice when more people contribute and you can see that. But ultimately see where others fail. Like a lot of this, I tried it out. Like I have to try it by myself, or like while I'm recording it and trying to show it how I do it to people, like how I do this thing, how I do this for people to see it too. I would like completely mess something up, or a pod wouldn't start, or something would go completely wrong, right? And then I would have to completely redo it, or have to restart that part of the stream, or stop like basically my recording and figure out why the pod wouldn't start, or why I get a crash loop back off as here. That was something that happened as well, right? So you sharing where you fail at, what doesn't work for you, is really valuable for others. It's maybe even more valuable than sharing what works for you, because there's so many edge cases that people do not discuss because it doesn't work for them. So they like to not talk about it. And that's something people don't tell you, right? But that's a real thing. What you try to do to create distinguished content from other people. So how do I differentiate my content from others? That's a good question. I should have an answer. No, what do I do to make this look different? I don't. That's okay. Let me be completely honest, right? I have a video I have several videos. Let's look at Linkerd. And where is it? Do they have a... Oh, there's a hashtag. Oops. Let's look at them, right? So I was doing a video on Linkerd that is on my YouTube channel. And the only thing I did, because it was quite difficult, like for me to start learning about it and to create my own example. So I was just saying, hey, I'm just going to follow the Get Started guide. And that's all I did. I literally put their Getting Started guide into a video. That's all I did. I don't take any credit for the content, because it's literally me just rewriting what the parts that I found useful. Like I just took notes based on what I was reading about it from their documentation. So let's say you have this open and then you have this blank document here, right? Let's put it next to it. So I have here my document, and then I have the Getting Started guide, and I basically read parts of it, and I might want to say, okay, this is how you install the client. So I'm just doing like install CLI, and I just put the command because this is ultimately what's important for me to remember, for instance, or for people to know if they want to follow it, right? And then I might provide some additional information or the aspects that don't work. That's all I do. A lot of times I don't create my original content because I'm just trying to understand the things. And the best way to understand it is just to reproduce other people's content and then build upon it, because a lot of times content is also outdated or it doesn't work. But this way you can just literally look at it and be like, okay, this is useful. And I take this part and I just put it together, right? And then once you followed, for instance, the Getting Started guide, you can then make more advanced examples and explore the details of this example application or similar, right? Like you don't have to create original content. Take that pressure away from you. You don't have to create an original content. You can just summarize like 10 blog posts made by other people and just link them at the bottom, like, right? Just at the bottom, just provide the links to their websites, basically. I hope nobody's mad for me saying that right now. I will give you credit. If I ever refer to your content, I will try to give you credit, unless I did most of it myself. But no, so you can just, don't try to be original. It's at the beginning, especially. Like I don't think it's worth it. It's like there's so much amazing content like this Getting Started guide. So you can just try to use that and other people's content. I mean, this is just me thinking out loud, really. I don't know if this advice is gold. I hope nobody's getting mad at it afterwards, but we'll see. We'll see. Oh, that's so nice of you to say, Florian. I wish I had this kind of advice when I got started my learning journey. Well, you live, you learn, right? No, you can share it with others. Let's make this nicer. I can also share this afterwards, maybe make it a bit nicer. What else should we add? What would you say? I don't know, what aspects would you provide here, I guess? So when you get started, here, something else that I would. Here's another advice drop, okay? So let's say your end goal, okay, before you get started, you want to have a form of end goal, right? So for me, it was, for example, taking an exam. I forgot the name of the exam. That's how bad I am in taking exams. But I want to take an exam to become certified in the Kubernetes cloud native space, right? So let's assume I would not have done any of the stuff that I showed you within the past, 40 minutes nearly. I would have just just worked towards the exam and set the exam, right? Let's assume this doesn't exist, this newsletter doesn't exist, none of this exists, right? Probably by now I would have had, after 10 months, this exam. I don't have this exam yet, right? Because I'm lazy, but also because I took a different approach, and that's actually me being lazy. And also because I'm terrified of exams and I'm not sure if I actually know my stuff. So that's why I didn't take it. But let's assume I just go ahead and I take this exam, and that's all you see, right? I'm just posting on Twitter, hey, I took this exam. Yay, I finished, right? What do you have from it, right? I don't have much from it if other people share their exams. I'm happy for them for like 10 minutes or when they share it with me again afterwards or so on. But unless they tell me how they took the exam, or unless they share with me the kind of resources they used to sit the exam or so on, I don't have any use for them having the exam. Like, I'm happy for them, right? I'm happy for everybody who passes exams and advances in their career goals, right? But ultimately, I can't get anything out of it for myself. And people are selfish in that respect, right? So let's just be honest in this stream. This is my own stream. I can say these things, I hope. Don't be mad. Anyway, so let's assume you take this exam and this is all you see, right? Then obviously people are not going to engage with your content. They can't provide you with input. Like, I can see your exam score, but I can't tell you of hey, have you thought about that? Or you can ask me questions, but then I can't really react it because I don't know what you're actually working on, right? Like, if you, for example, working on an example and you have your example on your GitHub repository, and you're like, Anais, it doesn't work. I can't make it work. I don't understand the specific thing. I can take a look at it and kind of like, okay, like you did it this and this way. I would actually maybe try that path and see if that works. But if you just sit in the exam and that's all you do, then that's it, right? And there's nothing wrong with it. If that's what you want to do, go for it. But ultimately, if you want to get involved within the community, it doesn't provide a lot of community experience, let's say, right? However, if you start from the very beginning to share content, any kind of content. It could be like just tweets. It could be on GitHub, some examples that you come across. It could be lists. There are lots and lots of lists of people sharing learning resources on like GitHub repositories. And other people then discover this list and they're like, oh, there's so many learning resources around, I don't know, TensorFlow or something else. And wow, we can learn all about this because there's so many community members creating resources. And then it's just somebody who created a list of the existing resources available. And that person's super celebrated because they created a list of what they came across, right? Anyway, this is me just saying in a long way, you can share content from the very start so other people see, basically can kind of take you as a source of reference. Like there are lots of people also here in the chat that I take. Florian, for example, Florian was one of the people, I'm picking you again, whom I was basically just looking daily on his Twitter account to see what he was reading, right? Because he would share what he was reading and that would give me a point of reference. So I would just basically look at, oh, he's reading about that. Maybe I should read about that, right? If he's learning about this thing in DevOps, in the DevOps space, maybe I should learn about it too, right? I didn't know what to learn. Like when I joined, the space like 11 months ago, I had no idea what I was supposed to learn. I had no idea about the exams that are available. I had no idea what I was supposed to do. So I was just looking at what are other people looking at? How should I read that too? And then I would put it into my newsletter. That's all I did. It's really like, I'm not trying to be creative about this. So Rishabh, share definitely if you are taking exams, write and share your experience, share how you prepare. If you see him in the chat, go check out his YouTube channel because he has lots of exam-related advice, especially if you're using Azure. Fun fact, on my first Azure meetup, I didn't know how to pronounce it because I only met people like online, right? Like let's do it this way. I only met people online and never like in person and hardly on call. So I had no idea how people were pronouncing Azure. So there's a really funny recording of me saying like all kinds of different ways of pronouncing Azure just in one meetup. Like, yeah, just think about that, right? I was so embarrassed. Anyway, now I can laugh about it. So that's a fun part. Once you get to the point where you can laugh about yourself. Anyway, so cool. Where were we? So basically when you look at all this different kind of content, you can just, or like once you basically, before you get to the exam or writing a book or whatever the end goal is, right? You can just also message people who do live streams. Like, especially if you're a woman in a space or minority group, I'm sorry, I have to pick on you, but please do reach out to people because people might not know about you, right? And like, I don't know that many people in the space if they wouldn't reach out to me or if I wouldn't reach out to them. So please do reach out to people because a lot of times they can help you to provide you with opportunities, with speaking experiences, such as bringing you onto their live stream or similar, right? Yeah, so somebody joined and said, hi, do you have a list of interesting crypto projects built on Kubernetes or Knative? Oh, that's a nice question. I haven't thought about combining crypto and Kubernetes yet. Maybe I should try that out. It might be an interesting thing. There's actually a fun fact, but I will not dive into that in this live stream. But basically, the way that nodes in Kubernetes communicate with each other relies on consensus algorithms. And blockchain is heavily based on different consensus algorithms. So if you're interested in that, check out consensus algorithms. You will dive into a rabbit hole. But going back to this thing, right? If I share everything in between, like live streams, and what else? What else do we put here? Books I read. Books. Let's just keep it as books. And maybe events I attend. So if you share events like on your Twitter account, you're like, hey, I'm attending this event. Or like if you write just a summary on the events that you attended or similar, other people can use that for their own content and see what you're doing. So once you have the exam, like once you sit the exam and people see you celebrating, you getting like passing the exam, they will be able to see all of this before actually looking at the kind of exam you took. They will see like, okay, this is how this person prepared for it. And this is how I can prepare for it with their resources as well. And yeah, this is basically this is my advice here, my thoughts, I guess. Oh, by the way, would love to know what tool you're using for live streaming. I'm using right now StreamYard, but I'm thinking of switching to using OBS, like Streamlabs OBS specifically because I'm on Windows. So I'm thinking of using OBS instead because I can customize it further. This is really nice because I can see actually the chat within StreamYard, but and reply to it within the chat. But OBS allows you to customize, and it's for if you're just streaming yourself, with no guests. I would say OBS is the best tool to use if you have Windows. If not, if you have a fancy Mac, then don't try. I'm joking. Anyway, maybe no, there are ways to set up OBS also on Mac if you want that. But yeah, that's the tool I'm using. I could make a list of the different tools that I'm using for my content, but I was naive. There are probably better ways. There are better ways now that would save me with some money, I guess, if I would use other tools, which I will invest in the future of setting those up and less costly processes, let's say. But yeah, this is just me sharing how I would go about it. So again, like when you want to get started in DevOps, like try to find your learning path. If it's about courses and exams and you want to have a structured learning path, then go for that. If you're that type of person, go for it. I can't commit to things. So I'm a complete mess with these things, right? So I wouldn't do it. But if that's your path, then go ahead and do that. But also make sure to share your learning experience along the way for others. If there are no other questions, or if you have, let's give it like a 5-minute grace period or something. If you have any questions, post them in the chat right now. I'm here to answer questions. That's why I'm doing these live streams. I want to talk to you, and I can't talk to you all individually. Also, make sure to join the community chat. I can post it again if that's helpful. Where is it? Here. Make sure to join the community chat if you have any, if you come across any interesting content from, while you learn about DevOps and anything related, then I wonder what the delay is right now of the chat and me talking, actually. I might have it set up wrongly. So if you know how to set things up, please send me a message because I might have screwed this up. Anyway, what else? 100 Days of Kubernetes randomly popped up in my YouTube suggestion page, and there is the reason finally understood, at least part. Nice. Thank you so much for sharing, Damien. Do I pronounce your name right? Damien. Thank you for joining. That's really, I'm just sharing my learning journey. Again, you can contribute to this. This is all at 100daysofkubernetes.io. Just go here to the right. Here's Git repository. There's a button here on the right, okay? And you can then go ahead and check out the GitHub repository and contribute to it because you're probably way more knowledgeable than I am. Probably. So just contribute and add your name to the contributor list, okay? The contributor list is somewhere in here. Contributors, here, add your name here, okay? Oh, you can't see it. I hope you saw that. What's the difference between Cloudups and DevOps? I have no idea. I don't know. No, I'm serious. I don't know what exactly the difference is between Cloudups and DevOps. It's the first time actually I hear that expression, the difference. We can make a separate stream about what is the difference between SRE and DevOps. What's the difference between DevOps and sysadmin and similar things. If you're curious about that, then drop me a message. That might be actually interesting to have a chat about and me to get honest about my opinions and thoughts. But they are really, as mentioned, I got started with all of this 10 months ago, right? This is no magic. This is just me trying to learn about these things, right? Thank you so much for joining. There's no difference. Okay, Victor just joined the chat. Welcome, Victor. And messaging. There's no difference. Cloudups means nothing. It's a marketing term. Here we go. Question answer. I don't have to do a live stream anymore. Maybe a live stream with Victor and us ranting about marketing terms. That might be fun. So if you want to see that, then comment and like this video and we can totally talk about that. That might be hilarious to discuss. Have you ever used Flux for GitOps? Do you know in which case is better Flux than Argo CD? I'm actually right now working with Jason from Linkerd. That's why I brought it up. It's like I have a short-term memory. I have to like bring up examples I just used today. Now, we are working, this person here and I are working on a comparison between Flux and Argo CD and which one we like in which cases and so on. So stay tuned for that because that's going to come on my channel as well. Let's invent Cloud DevOps. No, Francesco, let's invent Cloud DevSecOps. No? Okay. Yeah, Cloud DevSecOps. So what else? Have I missed something? Have you ever used Flux? Would love to answer that. Let's do a live stream about the different careers in cloud and DevOps and SRE. The thing is a lot, I think. So here's no, maybe not the last thing. I can't promise. But here might be the thing that actually, the difference between DevOps and DevSecOps and Cloudups and so on, it's mainly just companies having different needs in like, they are different stages, right, of their automation. They're different stages of their DevOps, automation, security adoption, right? So if a company has all the resources for a separate security team, of course, they will have a team that is focused on DevSecOps. Versus if you only have one person who's taking care of the entire DevOps, everything within the company, that person is also going to be doing DevSecOps. That person is also going to be doing sysadmin, everything, right? So it's really just dependent on the company and where they at, and just, I should put this down and just what their needs are. That's basically my opinion on it. Like just going through interviewing, it's really like when you're looking for DevOps versus DevSecOps teams or similar, it's mainly just the focus of the tools that you have to work with and your knowledge in different areas that will differ, and then it's just framed as a different term while you might be doing overlapping tasks. There's a new term, Cloud DevSec Fin GitOps. I like that. I managed to pronounce it. It's a new thing in town, they say. Yeah, totally. We could go on that. Anyway, awesome. So I think I'm going to stop the stream now. This has been fun. This has been really fun. I might do it on a weekly basis if people like it, or bi-weekly basis, or weekly basis when I have like different people join and just talk about unprepared things, let's say. It doesn't have to be prepared. None of this was prepared, by the way. I hope you liked it and enjoyed the stream. And hopefully you join me on my next stream and my next videos. And if you have any feedback or thoughts or suggestions for upcoming videos, then please do share those and join the community chat and share them in the community chat. And if you create your own content, share your own content in the community chat. And also here, last thing, maybe. I cannot promise it, but here you can add, let's say you create some content on, this one is a bad one, okay? This one is a horrible page. So if you create some content on Kubernetes volumes, add them here in the list of learning resources so people can find it, okay? Please do that for me. So I hope you can see that. Okay, thank you so much for joining. I hope you have a lovely day. Bye-bye.